We'd like to request you to stay on because we now have a conversation and a chat. So I'm going to invite Ritu to join Subbu on stage. Ritu, who just spoke just before Subbu did. And joining them for a fireside chat would be Gayathri Sharma, Head of Communications India and South Asia, Rolls-Royce. And while we bring them on stage, just thanking you, Subbu, for that content. It was so wonderful. Distinctive advantages, fighting in terms of looking at the bane of similarities, brands sticking out their neck, pursuing advantage of discipline, and so many elements of actually watching anecdotal references to what brands have done with storytelling and purpose. Over to you. The stage is all yours.
Thank you so much. And a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know we stand between you and lunch, but I think that conversation on brands and purpose is something that definitely deserves a little more food for thought and delving a little deeper. So I think the next 15 minutes, we're just going to quickly run through a few more thoughts and delve a little deeper into what we just heard. So firstly, thank you so much, Subbu and Ritu, for the fantastic presentations. I think great thoughts for all of us to take away. One of the things that I would definitely want to touch upon is, and I personally feel that this is probably the dilemma that a lot of us, whether we are in marketing or advertising or communication, I think marrying brand and purpose is fantastic, but you still need to find a way to stay true to the brand ethos. So how does one do that? I mean, what's the trick? What's the sweet spot? How do you find that? Ritu, would you like to start?
Absolutely. I think very clearly you have to, it's not chicken and egg really. You have to find your purpose first. If you know your purpose and you know where you're going, the layers of what the brand stands for automatically start setting right from the beginning. It doesn't matter what business you are in. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter whichever sector you are from. It is, and it actually falls into place with that. And for us, I can speak for us. And I can speak for us in a fashion where we are extractive industry, we are mines, minerals. We know we are there to serve the community. We know it is about inclusive growth. And within that, you find your purpose, you build the brand. I mean, Subbu can actually throw some more light on that.
Yeah, completely agree. See, to me, everything that you do is in the cause of the brand. Okay, brand I don't necessarily mean suffixal entirety. Anything that you do is a brand. Purpose to me should never be a bolt-on purpose. Because for the heck of it, because everybody is talking about this beautiful subject called purpose, I also need to have some purpose. And many times I see a lot of corporations, a lot of brands have a bolt-on purpose. And it's good to talk, I know it's a PR conference, it serves as a good PR tool and all for the chiefs of the companies and all. But it has to be authentic. And if the purpose is not authentic to the business that your brand is in, to the business that you do, it's a meaningless exercise. Because what is the delivery mechanism? The delivery mechanism is through the product, rather through the service that I serve the audience. It has to deliver through that. It can't be something which is completely detached from the business that I am in and some other purpose kind of thing. It should never be that. Because then you are not doing justice. Then you are not doing justice to your business and the brand. Because there is, I'll tell you some examples. One of the most beautiful examples that I came across, I was very inspired when I saw that. It's SKF ball bearings. Now think of a ball bearings company, it doesn't even come into the radar of anybody. And a beautiful purpose, the stance that they have taken is reducing friction moves the world forward. Oh, fantastic, I thought. Reducing friction moves the world forward. Now there is a beautiful mechanism, delivery mechanism for the business that I am in, for the product. And that's what it is. Like, if you hunt, dig deep, and if you are authentic about it, and if you want to do it for the right reasons, and it will be amazing. And it has to be on the brand. It cannot be a bolt-on.
Great. And I think you were talking about some fantastic initiatives that Vedanta does. I mean, the marathon, for example, I'm sure we have a lot of marathon runners here. Raise of hands. All the marathon runners in the house. I was just seeing, I was seeing a tweet from Anoop, in fact, on some PR lessons from marathon running as well. Now, I think it's also about how do you find that intangible connect, when you actually look at marrying brand and purpose, right? And that's a tricky spot, How do you actually manage to create that connect with the audience? Because, you see a lot of emotional films. Not everything hits the sweet spot, or not every campaign really, touches the hearts, right? So, but that's obviously where we want to be. Now, whether we're talking about the established brands or we're talking about brands which are still evolving, so many of the big brands have already evolved maybe, and, so many want to evolve, but we all want to get there like today, or yesterday. So, how do you see that connect happening and how to crack that bit as well?
I think it's a nice word to say, how to crack that bit. But taking off from what Subbu said, if you find purpose, you find tangibility, you find outcome. If you're doing it for optics, it will be you've wasted your money, you put something out, it will also be an also ran. You have to first see, is there an outcome attached to it? Is it real? We talked about Apple, which was real. In fact, you go back, that Ghanti Bajado campaign that they had for violence and abuse, Bell Bajado. You look at a campaign done by Ram trucks, and it just said, Ram trucks are trucks, large looking trucks, but it said, then there was a farmer. They connected it to a real problem with a real thing and a real purpose. And I remember that campaign of 20 years ago, even today. And you have a great product, you have great purpose, you have great outcomes, and it's a real problem that you're putting out to the world. It'll always, almost always. But it's like a movie. You put out, you can never say whether this is going to run. If you look at it from a campaign perspective, or from a PR perspective, if you put out a real problem, real solution, and the tonality, I always say, has to come from a space of humility. You cannot be the big brother in the game. It has to be humble. So your tonality is, you're talking to people about a problem, but not talking down in even, whether it's a subject or even if it's a conversation.
Thank you. Great. Thank you, Ritu. Subbu, I'm going to ask you to also touch upon some of the nuts and bolts of the process, in terms of cracking that code of the, emotional connect with people.
See, when you have a purpose, I always like my filter, the way it's like, you may or may not do a film, doesn't matter, okay? The criteria always like, how do I consciously use this word, how do I activate my purpose? But I mean, how do I put it into action? Because it's easy to fall into the trap of like, I do one film and then put it and then, a lot of people praise the film and it's great and all. If it is not a real act, I'm not doing something authentic on the ground and making a difference to people in their lives. It has to be an act. It could be small act, big act, whatever, that doesn't matter. It's that's why I say, how do I activate my purpose and have that? And also the other thing in today's context is the way brands are going about. Just as any of us today, one person can't do everything. Same is the case with brands. Okay, brands have to. One of the key things that we keep talking about is brands have to become these larger ecosystems. Okay, and then where you have your wonderful partners coming in together, where the business happens through interactions rather than transactions. And you see like who are the people who you can collaborate with. and do those acts. Because some maybe there could be a great synergy and the two of you come together. It could be a partner to you and some other partner, it could be a knowledge partner, some other partner, whatever. Come together and do it, but to me it is all about real acts, real actions. Otherwise, people will see you through. I say something, and if I don't follow it up with an authentic action, and no, it's not. It's not morally right first.
And I'll add to this, and I'm giving you from a client perspective. And we had a conversation prior also. There are experts, use the experts to tell you and give you direction. As a client, you cannot know everything. And there are times when we try and, force fit a lot of things. Ye bhi nikalna chahiye, ye bhi nikalna chahiye, ye bhi. But always be open to taking the advice from the expert, because finally, it's the purpose must meet its destination. And don't come in between that destination by saying, aise kar lo. Let the expert, agency, and people that surround. And like you said, there are so many people. And today we are in the age of super speciality. Let them help us get to the destination.
Thank you. I think so. We're talking about also trust between partners and working together in a much more cohesive way, be it advertising, marketing, all the teams coming together and all the partners coming together to define that purpose as well as to take it through to the end. I think that's probably my takeaway from that. So that is going to also bring me to my last question for today. You were also talking about how a lot of brands are, just coming in and they want to just do a film, put it up, and let's not forget that you can pay and get views as well. But essentially, I think it also leads you to the point about the client brief. How do you fix that, so that, and I think that's a question for both of you. How do we, understand and be clearer in the brief of what we exactly want and actually what the brand stands for? Until that brief is clear, I don't think, we can really come up with what's the best way forward for the brand.
Lovely question. Okay. And I have a great personal experience of a large client of ours, which is, I can take the name here, it is Unilever. Because Unilever many years ago started something called the USLP, Sustainable Living Proposition, which is what it used to be. And in Unilever, when we work on the Unilever briefs, what happens, there's a process called the brand key, which is everybody has a different kind of nomenclature. It's essentially about the way you capture your brand. And it used to be the USLP, there is a brand key, and the USLP used to be on top of that. And many times what used to happen is, okay, fine, now this is my brand, and I need to do one sustainable living mission, something I have to do. One act has to be done once a year or once in 2 years or a year and a half or whatever. So then it was noticed when that is happening, all the other things are happening as they are usual. And this is something that I need to do once in a while to say that, oh, this brand stands for something. Now that, because then the fallacy of that has been seen. And again, once it goes back to what I said, because your business has to live that purpose day in and day out. And the delivery mechanism is through my product or service. Now that has been integrated inside the key, not outside the key, so that your brand is built around that. This is the purpose. This is my purpose. This is the reason for my existence. Whatever. Now everything gets built around that. Now what happens is you're forced to think, okay, because it is integral. Without that, now I can't exist. Every single thing that I do there has to be a connect to that in some way. Okay, because see, there is nothing like this is a purpose communication and this is brand communication. This is sales-led communication. That is some festival communication. Anything that you speak about the brand goes and builds the brand or destructs the brand. Well, it's like us. Every word that I utter speaks about myself. And it's a question of my choice whether I speak swear words or I speak nice words or whatever it is. It's exactly that, about everything that comes out of the brand, Either goes and builds the brand, adds back to the brand and advancing the brand, or like, it's pulling it back. And when you are basing it on your purpose, see what is it, what aspect of my purpose, what part of my purpose am I living through this? It's about living. It's about living. It's about acting. It's about being authentic. And the trust that you spoke about, because trust is something I always feel. And again, trust is, it's important. I've seen corporations, because trust, I believe, there are two pillars to trust. Trust is comes from competence and character. Character too is extremely critical. One without the other is doesn't exist. Oh, I have the best machinery and I'm the most advanced company in this world and I produce the best products, and your character is flawed and you can't generate trust. We are seeing with the tech companies in the world now, they're all under the radar. Now everybody is being watched. Is exactly that. Your character is extremely critical. Okay, and competence and character both come and build your trust.
Thank you, Subbu. Any quick words from you, Ritu?
Gayatri, I already defined that in terms when it comes to, brand briefs, client has to be clear on what he wants or she wants. And there are times, let me be honest, we are even not clear. We can say, and for example, like he said, Unilever templatizes it, gives it out. So at least in a certain fashion, everything really has, structure. Sometimes you say, hey, 15 August hai, it's time bound, or it's New Year's hai, or 26 January, let's do something. Now, what is that something? Then you have to have that trust that somebody who is your expert will come out and give you something which is best fit for you. And I have agencies sitting here that we work with. Nitin is here. We have Avian who we work with. We have First Partners, MSL. A lot of agencies who can vouch for that there are times where we absolutely tell them, we want this, but how? You define it. Or second thing, we want an outcome. Define how do we get there, right? There's rarely when I think we should, as clients, push an expert. You hired an expert to give you an opinion. Yeah. So I believe you there completely.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ritu. Thank you, Subbu. And
Thanks.
Thank you all for being a great audience. Questions we will take during the lunch break. And thank you all. I think we have a room full of people building brands. So best of luck to all of us to be authentic on that journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gayathri, Subbu and Ritu.